So what I decided I'm gonna do today, instead of walking through an existing demo, is actually to do this live. Um, so Clifford, basically, let me know what strategy you want to work on,
Yep.
Okay.
and we'll start interacting with the system and see how the system wants to help us navigate through that.
Okay. So tell me when you're ready, and I will tell you my strategy.
Yeah.
And this is a
I'm ready.
natural. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is a natural strategy. So I'm working on two real estate development projects.
Okay.
One is a 30-unit condominium project, and the other one is a, a private development that will include maybe 15 to 20 homes, a gated development, put it that way. And the target market is persons living outside of Grenada in the diaspora, in the Caribbean, and in the diaspora. People living in Canada, the US, the UK, the Caribbean, Europe, and Africa, who are looking for a second home in the Caribbean on the island of Grenada. Mike, I need to come up with a strategy how the best way to contact or to reach these individuals. What is the best way to reach them? What is the best pitch for these individuals in terms of convincing them that this project is a good investment. Grenada is peaceful. It's quiet. It's a paradise, and coming up with a financial strategy that will basically be attractive for them to invest in this project.
Okay. The good news, Clifford, is we're gonna do this in a simple conversation. So you don't have to tell me everything at once.
Yep.
So we're just gonna start one piece at a time, and then
Okay.
you guys are seeing what I'm doing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And what I'm doing here, Clifford, what you'll see is I'm giving you the benefit of actually seeing, quote unquote, what the system is thinking behind the scenes, as well as what the interaction is. Okay. So
Okay.
I just went in and said, hi, I'm Clifford. I'm working on a Caribbean real estate development marketing strategy.
Okay.
Very simple, right? You see here what it's doing in terms of quote unquote thinking. I really hate the word thinking because machines don't think. Okay. But this is basically what are the processes going on behind the scenes, right? Just to give you an insight in terms of what our system is doing, and that it's doing more than just what a chat GPT would do for you, right?
Okay.
So based on this single statement, I'm working on a Caribbean real estate development marketing strategy. Here is what our system is going through. Clifford is working on a marketing strategy for Caribbean real estate development. Initial information is sparse, need to clarify. So it's already saying,
Yep.
here are the things that we need to clarify. Type of development, is it luxury residential, vacation rentals, commercial, target audience, who are you targeting, international investors, local buyers, retirees, what is the unique value proposition, what differentiates this project, current challenges, is it awareness? Is it competition, pricing, perception, right?
Yeah.
As you can already see, it's already starting to address some of the issues you mentioned, right?
Yep.
And then it starts, because again, this is not just a social chit chat. This is a conversation that has an objective in mind, which is to help you come up with a strategy, which means to have this guided conversation. It needs at every stage of the conversation to start coming up with formulations of hypotheses, right? And then adjusting these hypotheses as the conversation goes on until it gets to a point of confidence that it has framed the proper problem statement first,
Yep.
and validates that with you. And that's just the first step
Okay.
of our 6 AI process, right?
All right.
So the hypothesis it comes up with initially is struggling to position a high-end development in a saturated market. Maybe it's
Yeah.
difficulty reaching international buyers and differentiate message and so on and so forth, right? And then,
one sec. Clifford, you had a quick question?
sorry.
No, I do have a question, but let Ali finish what
Okay.
he said.
No, go ahead. The important thing is not what I say. The important thing is for me to address your questions and concerns.
Okay, so now I have to go back to the first paragraph, the first pointer you have here, and I will have to give more detailed information. So my target market, my type of development is.
You don't have to do that now. Go ahead, Ali.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right,
You don't have to do that now. So based on all this thinking, if you will, or background process, then it comes back, and the answer you would see, of course, I'm giving you the luxury to see the behind the scenes processes, but normally you would only see this answer. It says, hi, Clifford, Caribbean real estate has such diverse opportunities. To get us started, is the development focused on luxury properties, vacation homes, or other niches? And who's the primary audience you're trying to reach? International investors, local buyers, or a specific demographic? So these are the two questions it's trying to address now.
Okay, so what's next? Do I tell it? Go ahead.
Just answer those questions. And I want to preface it, right, by saying that the machine is going to do the work here, right?
Okay,
that's the point of it. So you just, like, all of these things, there are tons of stuff, right? But the machine could download and get that in a second. So let the machine ask you the questions and answer the questions in a conversational way. And you will see how it pans out. I think, don't think about, oh, I got to come up with this, I got to come up with it. That's not the point. That's why we have the machine to do that, right? So is that correct, Ali? You just want to maybe just answer each question?
Exactly.
So Ali, okay, so I'm focusing on luxury properties, vacation home.
Okay.
That's what I'm focusing. And my primary audience, international investors and Grenadians or friends of Grenadians living in the diaspora or living outside of Grenada.
Okay, so luxury properties and vacation homes for
international investors.
Stores. Okay.
Grenadians in the diaspora.
In the diaspora. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And friends of Grenadians.
And their friends.
Yeah.
And their friends, yeah.
And their friends.
Okay.
Oh, friends.
If I can type.
Keep in mind, we will have a speech feature down the road. So
exactly. Eventually, we'll do an interface that's speech to text, so we bypass the typing. Okay, so we've answered this. It's doing some processing in the back before it comes back with an answer. And here is the answer. Okay, so again, if you want to look just at the answer, it says, got it. Reaching diaspora communities while competing in the international luxury space requires precise positioning. What would you say is the unique appeal of these properties compared to other Caribbean destinations?
Great question.
And are you currently using any cultural touch points specific to Grenadians in your marketing?
Okay, all right.
If you want to have an insight of why it came up with these questions, you can always look at this thinking section. It'll give you more insight of what's going on.
Yeah. So Clifford, just to reiterate, the part that says thinking, you won't see. You just get the answers. But I think what we're trying to show you is how the machine again thinks, and how it gathers information and how the AI works essentially to come up with that particular answer.
Okay, so can I provide you with the answer now for this question?
Yes.
Of course.
All right. So the unique appeal of this property is the design, the luxury, the affordability, one, and the location. And finally, the view, the view of the picture cave view, the, the view that the property embraces.
Okay. The view you get from the view you get from sitting inside the property.
Yes, the view of the ocean, the view of the harbor, the view
Ocean
of
view. Ocean view.
Exactly.
ocean view,
Ocean
or the
view.
ambient. Yes.
Okay.
And the cultural touch point will be based on Grenada. Grenadians are very friendly people. We are known for our kindness to anyone, or to foreigners, or to. We are pretty much a tourist destination. We are very laid back and relaxed people.
Yeah.
Thomas, can you help me here?
But no, this is good. You see how the machine makes you think now?
Um,
That's all. I think that's good so far. It's fine.
all right.
All right. So, okay. Combination of luxury and affordability is intriguing. How are you balancing those two in your current messaging? And do your materials emphasize aspects that specifically resonate with Grenadians' culture, values, or connection to home?
Wait, let me read. Okay. How are you balancing these two in your current messaging? And do material emphasize aspect that's the way you resonate? Yes. Okay. All right. And culture value. The relaxed community vibes sound like a core part of the appeal of international brands, especially those that consider these properties. Do you feel your current marketing conveys that living there is just about you, but also about connecting with the distinctive Grenadian way of life? I love that. How do I talk about it? Just okay. Consider these properties. Do you feel your current marketing conveys that living in Grenada or living there isn't just about the view, but also about connecting with that distinctive Grenadian way of life? What do I do here? I mean,
You can agree, you can disagree, you
I
can
agree.
reframe the message the way you would like it to show up in your marketing message.
Yeah, I would love it to connect to Grenadians' way of life. Yep. I mean, I don't know if that might be the case for everybody. Some people may not want to connect, but to love, to understand our culture. But yes, I think that's important. Yeah.
And in terms of the previous question, where it says, how are you balancing between luxury and affordability?
Affordability allow you to, the strategy here is one that is being used in Dubai right now. It allows buyers to put down like a 30% or maybe 25 to 30% on the property and pay a 1%, pay 1% on the remaining balance over a 12-year period or 15-year period.
Okay, so it's the payment plan
it's a
making it
payment
that's
plan.
making it affordable. It's not the actual price of the property, but it's the payment plan.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So using a
flexible payment
plan that makes these luxury properties accessible. Okay. Let's see what it says to that. It's still thinking.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So it's coming back. It says, so you're aiming to position these properties as both a return to cultural roots and a smart investment, luxury that's attainable through thoughtful payment plans. Does your current strategy explicitly tie the financial accessibility to the idea of reinvesting in home, or is the connection something buyers are left to infer on their own?
I like the idea of reinvesting in home, reinvesting in Grenada. I love that idea. It gives people the opportunity to reinvest in Grenada or invest in Grenada. So you're aiming to position these properties for return culture.
If I could make one comment. So Clifford, you see what's happening here, right? It's forcing you to answer some really critical questions that you may not even think of. And it's also making you think of things that you need to think of if you're going to build, if you're going to build a strategy. So the conversational method here, okay, and the way you're answering, you just answer like a normal person, right? But what the machine is taking you through, it's taking you through a process when you're sitting with the machine by itself. Let's say Ali and I and nobody's there. Things you may not know, things you may, oh shit, I should have done this. You may have some research that you want to upload or whatnot. But what this is though, when you're doing a strategy, you in yourself may think, okay, but these are a whole bunch of other questions that the system is coming with that is asking you to answer as you get closer and closer to defining the problem statement. So, that's really what I see happening here with you. And when you make the comment that I like this part about XYZ cultural roots or whatever it is. So the system is putting things out there to see how you feel about that and matching it to solid strategy and continue to ask you the questions to go forward. There's no stop time. It's only when things are coming together and you guys agree finally and where sort of the AI1 process ends with the problem statement.
Okay, I love this because for someone who wrote, I write proposal all the time. The system allows you to think. There are things here that I never thought about.
Yes.
There are ideas that pops up that, to be honest with you, I will never think about it. It encourages you to do some deep thinking.
Yes.
And that you more or less will not have touched on. And so while I'm giving information, I'm reading and I'm trying to make sure that I answer these questions, because I never knew a question like that would have come to me in the first place. I'm
exactly.
I'm trying to deal with it. And I think in a lot of sense, for someone who is on the other side reading this proposal, they will see a lot of comfort in it. because they would have touched on things that they were not considering, actually, contemplating. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And part of that, Clifford, is because we're not only considering the rational aspect in terms of facts, templates, here are the things you need to be considering. We're also considering the social, emotional, and cultural aspects, which is something that usually gets forgotten. And we're
yeah,
trying to have this empathic color to the conversation so that you're feeling like as though you're talking to a human being who has these human sensitivities as opposed to just a machine that's crunching numbers and discussing ROIs and costs and risks and that's it.
I agree. I agree. I see what is happening here.
And
It,
the other thing, although the questions are here to guide you towards formulating a robust strategy, you are still in charge. So there is
Yep.
nothing that says if you don't answer this question, we cannot move forward. You can
Absolutely.
decide to totally ignore this question and say, you know what? I don't like where you're going with this conversation. Here is what really matters to me. Here is what I'm not able to articulate. Here is what I'm struggling with when I'm trying to put together a marketing strategy. At the end of the day, this is more of like a tango, a dance, right? At the beginning, the system is leading because it has no assumptions or expectations of you that you're a strategy expert, that you've done strategy before or not. It leads. But at any point in the conversation, you could shift the conversation by leading yourself and saying, yeah, that's interesting, but here is where I want to go with this conversation.
got you. I understand. Because for some people, they might get stuck. And
Yes.
Yes,
yeah, and you can actually, basically, suggest something else, or let it know that this is not the way you're thinking, or you wanted to focus in on something else. I understand that, and that's very good. And give you option in case you're stuck here.
yeah.
I mean,
So again,
yeah,
here at this point, you can answer this question,
yes.
or you can totally shift the conversation, say, here is really what I want to get out of this conversation.
I will. For me, my personality doesn't allow me to jump over this question. So I will answer.
That's good. Good.
I respect that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So, but I do. For some people, that there might be. Let me ask a question here. You guys have an answer for this question here? Okay. You say you've been following everything thus far. Yes. So you say, does your current strategy explicitly tie the financial accessibility of the idea of reinvesting home, or is it that is 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 that connection something buyers are left to infer on their own? You follow what I'm saying? You're not following. Okay. All right. So I just try to throw it on to my colleagues here to see what they would have done. I have a feeling,
Mhm.
but okay. So my strategy want to focus on reinvesting in Grenada or reinvesting home, especially for the people in the diaspora.
Okay.
For so I'm encouraging Grenadians living in the diaspora and friends of Grenadian to reinvest in Grenada.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my strategy.
So I want to point out here what has happened. Okay. In the beginning, your strategy was international investors XYZ.
It's
But
true.
as things come, your focus starts to
Narrow.
narrow because you're starting to see the machine is helping you with all the questions and responses. It's
Yeah.
helping you to 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 understand that I have to have a narrow strategy, right? For what
Yeah.
I'm trying to
And
do,
broad.
I have to have as opposed to a broad strategy.
Strategy.
And that is exactly what it should be doing because you started with, this. but the facts and the information has led you to this. And so this is progress, right?
Yes, it is. Let me just, okay, so this could apply to any business strategy. So I come
Yes.
up with my
Absolutely.
business strategy and I say, okay, fine, I'm doing a real estate development. But my struggle right now is how do I how do I promote my business? Because
Okay.
I know where my market is. My market is retirees, people in the diaspora thinking about coming back home, international investors, friends of Grenadians who want to own a luxury home in Grenada. All right.
Yes.
But the key here, it could be any business. And it could be,
Yes.
and but you have to, so my take on this now. So initially I was focusing on international investors, but based on how the questions and the answers are flowing, I realized that it kind of narrowed me down to focus on the diaspora, people in the diaspora, people who have a connection to Grenada. I will tell you
Yes.
why, because it forced me to ask, it actually opened my eyes to the cultural aspect of it.
Yes.
Understand? The cultural aspect of it, the question is who will actually connect more culturally with Grenada? An international investor may not even understand the culture in Grenada. He may not
Mm-hmm.
care about Grenada. You understand?
Yep.
And you only care about profit. You only care about return on my investment. All right. But based on the question that is being put out there, I have to refocus and say, okay, fine. I see where this is going. So let me focus on Grenadians living outside of Grenada in the diaspora who want to buy or want to invest in Grenada, and tie culture into that, and tie, hey, invest in Grenada, invest in your home, Grenada.
100%. While Ali's typing, I want to just, one of the things about this software and what we try to do in terms of separate ourselves from the chat GPTs of the world is that this brings thinking back. Thinking, thinking is what creates the world, right? I mean, this whole thing when you talk about ChatGPT just pumping out summarization, this forces you to think. So what it does, okay, it enhances your knowledge, right? And the machine is just aiding you, right? But it helps clarify your ideas, clarify your thoughts. And the reason you've come to correct me if I'm wrong, the reason why you've come to decide on the Grenadian diaspora is that you just said that it makes more sense as a business strategy, right? It makes
Yeah,
more sense as opposed to international. You're much more targeted. So if you were able to go after Grenadian professionals, people to retire or whatnot in Grenada, or even like let's say a guy like myself, not ready to retire, but if I have the money, why would I not spend it in the island where I was born? And I've had property there before. There's tons of people in my family. I'm a much better potential sale than going
yeah,
to anybody. So and if you can focus in the diaspora, the word gets around, and next thing you know, you got 10 properties might be sold to a whole bunch of different family members or whatnot, right? But
yeah,
you wouldn't be able to figure that out unless you had an empathy, the whole thing about empathy. When you're speaking, the machine is like, of course the machine doesn't have empathy, but the way our IP works is to just really try to get what you're thinking and what you're feeling and try to ask you back those questions. And I think that's why we're getting the results. And it's all you, really. Okay, it's all you.
yeah. Oh,
Okay, but
because
you need a partner in this.
yeah, because Perry and Ali, you see, based on my knowledge, yes, you could pour this into ChatGPT, but I guarantee you, especially the marketing strategy, I guarantee you it will not ask you question about culture and culture appeal. Huh? Unless you bring it up, unless you ask it, the cultural roots here. I mean, it kind of, you know, it trying to hit you. How should I put it? It asking you a question that you would not have thought about. And if I'm writing that proposal,
Exactly.
I would not,
I,
I would not go into culture. I mean,
yeah.
I'm tempted to say yeah, our culture is based on jab jab. I will not put jab jab in here. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But again, so when you talk about culture, you're going into the real culture of Grenada. I mean, a guy may not want to invest in Grenada. I mean, a young person might say, hey, yeah, we know for jab jab, 10,000 jab jab, but you can't do that in here. But at the same time, I appreciate this, Perry and Ali.
Yeah. Sorry, Ali.
Wait, hold on. Someone have a question.
Yes.
Hi, so I'm Nicole. I'm wondering, I'm looking at the
And Nicole, sorry again. You're just so you are just for the you're student of where? Graduate of where?
Granita SG.
SGU.
Okay, go ahead. In IT?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, ask your question.
Looking at how the AI is operating, and it's great. I love it. But I'm thinking, at what point will the questioning stop? Because it seems to be, I'm wondering, will I be here?
So that's a fantastic question.
Fantastic question.
It never
if I go
stops.
back, exactly. But if I go back, just a couple of questions before, you'll see here that behind the scene, it's already thinking about a final problem hypothesis, right? It's trying to converge, but it will not force a conversion just because it has reached 5 steps, 15 steps. It will attempt to converge, but it lets the conversation decide, are we really converging, or is there other aspects that need to be explored before we attempt to converge? So as you can see, it attempted to converge here, final problem hypothesis, but then based on the focus is reinventing this, it says, let's explore this further, right?
Okay.
And as we give it another answer here, for example, that my main struggle is how do I properly promote this real estate project to the target audience, the Grenadian diaspora. You'll see that it's going to explore this further as opposed to try to rapidly converge to an answer. But that's a very good observation on your side.
So Nicole, one of the things that's important here is that we do not want to be like ChatGPT, okay? Because the issue is with the large language models like ChatGPT, it can only answer you based on its training data, okay? So we are more concerned about getting the problem question, the problem statement right at the end of the day, and that is in your control because the thing is, if we were ChatGPT and you ask these questions, they would give you a quick summarization and that's it. But everybody else gets that too, right? So there's no competitive advantage. What's happening here is Clifford is being helped, right? Because he's the one with the idea, he's the entrepreneur, he's everything. But Clifford can't think of a million different things like a machine can, right? So, like Ali said, it already started to form the hypothesis, but with Clifford raising something else, we're not going to rush to a conclusion that's not authentic, right? And I think that is really the process. Because, for example, if you were to hire a consultant, the consultant will take weeks and months with you, tons of dollars. This process is happening because it seems long because there's explanations with Ali and myself and Clifford or whatnot. But if he was by himself, he would just be asking the questions sort of back and forth. But the conclusion will come when I believe there's a convergence between what the machine is giving you in terms of the factual data and what Clifford sees as his vision. And then there's an agreement point, and then that's AI1. That's the first step of identifying the problem. If that makes sense.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Ali. So what's next? Which question do I answer here?
This last one.
Last one,
I can read the answer for you. Yeah, or you can read the answer.
Building your legacy back home.
What basically the system is saying is, it seems that your challenge is this, and it's saying, would you refine the message to frame payment plans as building your legacy back home rather than just financial terms help align the practical and emotional layers for the audience. And remember, behind the scenes, what we're trying to do is we're trying to emphasize this affordable luxury
Affordable
through payment
luxury.
plans
Yes.
in a way that feels authentic and compelling to the diaspora buyers, and avoid the generic, oh, buy your house in paradise
Paradise.
narrative,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
So that you differentiate yourself and be authentic, as opposed to just be yet another standard, typical, stereotypical
Yes.
marketing for
Marketing.
buying a piece of
Yeah.
paradise.
Yeah. Got you. Understand you clearly. So my strategy will be building your legacy back home. No, yeah. So I want to align my strategy to that.
Okay. So Ali will just
So you agree with
you
this?
agree with that.
I agree with it.
Okay.
Yes.
So you could just say that. You could just say, I agree. And because again, you don't have to come up with a lot of text or talk back. This is just a
I
free,
agree.
natural
Good conversation.
conversation. And
Yeah.
some answers could just be, I agree.
Yep.
Okay.
And,
So
and you don't have to say more, and see where it takes things. And
from there.
if you see it going somewhere you don't want to go, you bring it back. If you have a clear idea now and you say, you know what, now I know what I want, could you help me with this particular aspect of that, you can do that.
Okay.
So he tries to frame this conversation now and summarizes it this way. So go ahead and read it and see if you agree with it or not. Do you want to expand on it? Do you want to change something there? At the end of the day, this is
Yeah,
your assistant.
yeah. So guys, let me read this out to you. I mean, I'm smiling here because this is a real proposal I'm doing. This is a real business proposal,
Yep.
and it's basically saying to me, you see, the key challenge in this, how do you transform luxury real estate into cultural homecoming, making the diaspora buyers see these properties not just as an investment, but as a bridge between their success abroad and their roots in Grenada, while ensuring the payment plan is framed as an enabler of the legacy rather than just a financial perk. And the reason I'm laughing at this is because I'm thinking about everything that's going on globally around the world. I'm going back to the Trump administration that say, hey, you know something, we're not issuing visas to the Chinese anymore. We are deporting these people. We are deporting these people. We don't want these people here. So just thinking about all these things that running through my mind, I say to myself, well, something, this making a lot of sense here. So I would like to, you know, see it as a cultural homecoming. You understand? Not just a luxury real estate, but a cultural homecoming, and making the diaspora buyer see that it's time to invest on, because it's a timely initiative based on everything that may be going on with them, where they're at right now, be it in Canada, wherever they are. So,
Yeah.
Ali, this to me make a lot of sense. I don't know how to frame it, but I like the cultural homecoming. Um, and it's a timely, it's very timely to own properties and to invest in Grenada. And how do I bridge both of them?
So
You know,
it's again, I agree.
I agree.
That's it. Because I'm gonna say something to me as a Grenadian, right? And as a person, Clifford, as a person who's owned when when my kids were young, I owned property there, and we would go that we would spend my idea was to spend some summers in Grenada. But your kids grow up and they don't they have their own lives, right?
Yeah,
However, right, for me, as you know, Clifford, people are always coming back. Like, for example, my wife now has a client, it's in Jamaica, who's building a house in the Caribbean. And people always want to come back and build a home, right?
Yeah.
But what you're effectively in their homeland, what you're effectively doing is you're giving them a full strategy. You're giving them the why they want to do it, and you're
Yeah.
giving them the how they're going to do it,
Got you.
right? So to me, I agree. And
Yeah.
Nicole's going to be happy because now we are coming to the end of the question for AI1.
So let me just finish.
Yeah, and
Ali,
Go ahead, Ali.
this one.
I was just going to say that you can say something like, I agree, and then you can ask what you want. So, for example, at this stage, what I'm tempted, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I'm tempted to do, what I'm tempted to do is say, I agree. Can you give me an example of a marketing message that would capture this, right?
No, please. So type it in, Ali. So Jaden, the difference I'm seeing here, I mean, I know you're into the different AI platform. You will not get this engagement with ChatGPT or with Gemini. You will not. You understand what I'm saying? This is literally forcing you to be creative, to be innovative, to think about stuff that you never thought about. I mean, you could go on Gemini and you could prompt it and say, write this, write this, write this, write this, write this, write this, write this. Unless you're so brilliant, you will touch on all the different topics like cultural, the roots, the why this and why that. You know, by the time you finish, if you're that brilliant, you don't need a AI platform anymore. But this literally engage you, especially in a business, and this is driven. You could throw any business ideas to this, and it's going to help you brainstorm it. You know, I'm not products yet.
Here's the answer.
Ah,
Go ahead, read it. Headline.
it's seen. Go right the maximum.
Yeah, go to the headline. Don't go to the thinking part. Just the headline and body and tagline.
Okay. Let's see. Wait. Where Caribbean News meet modern luxury. Oh, I love that. All right.
Good.
Caribbean and there are other cross ocean there too. But give it back to me. Back to it. So for those who have carried Grenada in their hearts across oceans, these aren't just homes, but gateway back to the laid back rhythm of your heritage. Imagine morning with harbor view that mirrors your ambition, and evening steeped in the familiar warmth of community. Our flexible payment plan aren't just about affordability. They are designed for Grenadians to invest in the future of their island they call home. Luxury here isn't a price tag, it's a pride of building a legacy where your story began. And okay, own more than property, own a piece of Grenada soil.
I'm sold already.
Okay, all right, got you. All right, so that's.
What do you think? Is that your?
No, this is good. This is good, and I saying that is good because I know my challenge. I knew my challenge doing this, and I see how this helped. And I can tell, I'm talking to the students here, you guys may not be familiar with business plan and business proposal, but this helps you with your business proposal. And if you have to do one, it helps because I see how this has happened. Yeah, it forced me to think about things I would have never even imagined thinking about. Yeah.
I want to mention one thing, right? Because you mentioned about what ChatGPT Gemini can't do. If you in this text, it goes back and it uses the word imagine mornings with harbor views, right? So where did that harbor views come from? That was what you said back then, right?
Yeah.
Earlier in the chat. So if you put something into a chat GPT, for example, every new question is a new thing. It doesn't remember what you said in the beginning, but this remembered what you said originally about harbor views, and it has incorporated it into the body of the strategy. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay. So this Is this a complete summary of it, or Ali?
This is where we are. And remember again, you can stop right here if that's satisfactory for you, or you can dig deeper in any aspect or take the conversation further anywhere you want. And by the way, these sessions don't just end now. You can come back tomorrow and continue the conversation. You don't have to have the conversation begin and end at one setup.
Okay.
The other thing I would add is also to Perry's point. I mean, the comparing it to ChatGPT or any consulting company is once you're engaged, once you are in the platform, then whenever there's changes in the market, let's say the idea is to have data points from other diasporas. Let's say we involve, and then every time we have information on things changing in the market, because it's a dynamic system, then this information is added and is provided to you, so you can, if you have to tweak your strategy or pivot, it is based on all the factors that are external that you can see. So the idea of we always talk about this within 6AI is if you're talking to Deloitte or Boston Consulting, they give you a report and they say, thank you very much, have a great day. And they make you pay, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But if you want to hire them again in a year, then you pay again and it's a new report. What we're saying is with 6AI, once you're in the platform, let's say tomorrow, like next week, actually you brought a great example, Trump. Trump decides that he's going to hike up, duties on something tomorrow, on the diaspora actually. That is going to be factored in the algorithm, so that tomorrow they'll be telling you, hey, you might want to add this to your story because this is going to enhance it. So the fact that Perry likes to give the example of Canvas. This is a dynamic process. You have a solution that stays with you. And as we see things evolving, because we capture data from the overall market, from the market in the Caribbean, but also the world market, other diasporas, tourism information, all this is captured in. So we can give you insights a week from now, a month from now, if your story has to be tweaked, your message has to be tweaked.
Understand. So you're constantly evolving then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to suggest, for the sake of time and for the sake of, let's try to, I guess Ali Clifford would say, okay, let's bring it to an end, or I agree with everything.
I agree with everything.
What do I do next? Because
Can
again,
I would love to have a copy.
So what we're going to do, so this is AI 1, and once you have the problem statements, then you would move, but this is the most important part, right? Getting the problem, statement or the strategy, what you're going to build right. So after AI 1, then there's step 2, step 3, step 4, which is basically flushing out the strategy and come into a full, deck presentation. But what Hatim said, it can always be altered because it's live, right? As things feed in or whatnot. So let's see what we do next to bring it to an end, the stage 1 to an end.
Okay, so this is just stage 1, guys.
Yeah, this is just stage 1, and again, like I said, you can ask any questions you want. I'm just asking it, what next steps do you suggest? And here are the next steps it suggests.
Yep.
Just what to leverage cultural hubs, visual storytelling, tracks, and literature. Partnership covered with Grenadian culture, vision, total social person, developer. Okay.
And now,
language, page. Okay. All right. Visual.
Yeah. So what will happen now is we'll take these through the next step, right? So there'll be quality control step where we put in the data, we verify if all this data is true or not, right? Or good or not. Then we put it through a strategy, step 3, and then we put it through, let's say step 5 is the more steps all the way. Let's get to step 6, which is now the strategy's done, and we're gonna be able to monitor it and measure it and all that. So once we've decided on the roadmap, so we have a roadmap. So now essentially the 6 steps is really to test everything, make sure our assumptions are correct. We test that against the real world, all of those things. But now your biggest challenge, Clifford, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, is to come up with a defined strategy based on data to confirm what's happening, what you're thinking, to confirm that against the reality. And the reality is the data, right? Because if you just come up with a strategy without any data, any fact-based information, that's a huge risk,
Yes, it
right?
is.
It's a huge risk because what are you basing your assumptions on? Really, your emotion, right? But
Yeah.
what this does, it confirms what you're doing based on the data. And what the most important thing here, what happened, Clifford, from a risk management perspective, is that you started out with an international investors, these people, that people. But then the machine, based on the data and proper strategy analysis and all that, came down to a highly focused, diaspora-based strategy, which now you could move forward on confidence, because guess what? That strategy was built on data. It wasn't on facts. It wasn't built on emotion.
Okay.
And by the way, if you see the first next step it's suggesting is actually gathering real-time data, which means you share these messages with 10 to 15 trusted members. You're asking this question.
Yeah.
Does this feel like it speaks to your connection to Grenada? That
Okay.
will allow you to collect a real data, not
Yep.
some statistics
Yep.
that some consulting company has generated, but real people you're asking. And you're going to see, oh my God, half of them don't believe this message. It doesn't resonate with them.
Yeah.
Right there and then you know that this is not a marketing message that will fly. And you adjust based on that. And you see,
Gotcha.
what is it that didn't resonate? So again, this data is not just the typical data, which is statistics, internet data, but actually a real life data that you're getting from asking questions, putting questionnaires out there, and getting a real feedback from real human beings.
Got you. Understand.
Yep. And think about this, right? This process, as Hatim said, well, you know how it is in the Caribbean, right? These consultants come down, they charge you, hundreds of thousands, right? Weeks and months, right? To do all, and they don't do it. They don't do half the, 10% of the job this is doing here. Now you've been able to do all this in record time and at an infinitesimal cost. So if you had the system here, you would be paying it like Canva. You'd be paying your $20 a month or $200 a year, whatever it works out, and you will have high level consultancy and advice, because those consultants come and say, hey, we have the data, we have this, you don't need them because you can pull down the data yourself. So
Okay.
this is the difference. And now you can move forward with confidence, right? This is a bankable strategy because you can take it to, let's say you need to get a finance or whatnot. You can explain to the financiers, the banks or whatnot, how you came up with this based on data. And usually they want you to go get a consultant to do that. You'll be like, well, this is better than a consultant because here it is, right?
Got you. Understand.
Yeah. So, Alia, this is step one, right? We're done with this?
Yeah, this is step one. And again, as you can see, it's actually suggesting practical things, not just some slogans, but actually things you can go and execute, whether it's going to the community, creating a short film, or creating a landing page that allows you to monitor, is this still resonating? Are you seeing more people liking this or that? You can do A/B testing. You can do, again, remember that there is two aspects to what we're trying to do. Yes, it's data driven so that we're not just BSing people, but it also is empathically driven so that we're taking in the non-fact, the non-data aspects of emotions, culture, and it's this amazing mixture of data and facts, emotions and culture that make this a very compelling tool in my mind.
No,
That's right.